My name is Katie Knight. I am an artist who has been in Helena for 26 years, and we are here at the beautiful Holter Museum of Art in the Bacchus Gallery, which is an immense 20-foot tall space. And it's been a great opportunity and really exciting to be able to create an exhibition for this space, one that would really make use of the volume that we have here. And I do have volumes because I've been creating art since I was a little girl. I chose work from the last 45 years, and it's artwork in many media. I am primarily a photo-based artist. That is, my research often begins with photography, looking into some concern or topic that really is compelling to me. And then from there, the photographs can appear in many different forms, whether just like what we call straight photography that I used to print in the darkroom. Now I print on a digital inkjet, or hand-colored photographs, or I interpret the image through relief printing or screen printing or monotype. And sometimes I combine images when I do my printmaking. And then my sculptural installation is also here. It's called What Hangs in the Balance. And it's some of the fabric houses covered with photographic images of people who might live in those homes, or evoking the spirits of people who I love. And I printed some words up on the wall here that I hope are guiding thoughts. And one is, art is where the imagination experiences freedom. This is where we can make whatever we want, explore what we want, try new things, discover the world through our creativity. And another quote up here on the wall is, artists affirm life and connection, and we expose painful truths. So there's some pieces here that explore very difficult topics in war zones in Nicaragua and Colombia, and a former war zone in Namibia, where I'm really looking at human rights crises and maybe what our role and our consumption patterns have to do with that situation. And then the last one is, artists uplift us with visions of love for the world. And so really, the people that I have met and photographed who have shared their stories with me have really trusted me with their reality and their passions and their fears. And so I fall in love with them when I'm photographing them. And most of the imagery here is human subject, but also I have a suite of new images that I've printed in cyanotype, and they are all landscapes, primarily in Montana, but also Washington, Oregon, Arizona, beautiful places that have been really moving to me. And I'm printing them using an antique process from 1842, where I make my own emulsion and spread it on an art paper, a washi, sumie, Japanese paper, and then I print big negatives of my images and contact print them with ultraviolet light. And those landscapes are really the place that I find peace and harmony. I work in what's called bodies of art. So I'll work on a series for a period of months or even years to create a unified set of images that all together create an essay or have a unifying concept, but exploring a lot of different approaches to it. Like my documentary in Nicaragua in 1990 when I was an election observer, or my series of images from Colombia. I'm only showing one of those, the one that I made in 2001. And also a series on Montana farmers and ranchers dedicated to renewable energy and sustainable agriculture. And I did that project in collaboration with the Alternative Energy Resources Organization, AERO. When I came back from Nicaragua, where I was an official election observer in 1990, I printed up many photographs, black and white silver prints made in the darkroom with narration, and I gave lectures about the election and all the circumstances that had created the results, which were very tragic for the Nicaraguans. But I wanted to convey to people back home what it was like to walk into a gallery of heroes and martyrs. And this is, these little galleries were in all the neighborhoods, and every little town had a gallery where they displayed pictures of people who had been killed in the Contra War and in the war against the US-backed dictator Somoza. And eventually, the Nicaraguans prevailed, but at great cost. And when I was there, they were continuing to fight for their freedom against the US-backed Contra army. So to give the feeling of what it was like to go into these galleries, I went home and I took all the food out of my cupboard and I turned it into a gallery. And so on the outside is just pictures of the living Nicaraguans that I drew and photographed. And you could censor it by locking this. I had some of my work censored, so I tried to make it convenient for the censors. But when you open it, it is a gallery of heroes and martyrs, which it means the people who were killed in the war against the Contra and against the Somoza regime. So these galleries are created by the mothers of the war dead, and it's really shocking when you see it because it's little children, young people, women, and so these figures represent mothers holding the image of their children. And this one in particular is a picture of my friend Freddie, with whom I stayed, holding a picture of her daughter Rebecca, who was killed by the Contra. And so we would go into these galleries and look around and go, oh, you know, our government policy, our taxes finance this death. And we'd feel so bad, and the Nicaraguan mothers would come up and put their arms around us and comfort us as we cried. It was really powerful, transformative experience of seeing, as they used to say, el gobierno es el gobierno y los pueblos son los pueblos. The government is the government and the people are the people. You know, that we can have people-to-people relationships, which are so important. Yeah, so that's what this piece is about. It has poems by Nicaraguan women and actual copy photos that I made in one of these galleries of heroes and martyrs. This piece contains 6 photographs, and I conceived of it kind of like a shrine, a prayer for protection and strength for my son, Jika. Jika's dad is from South Africa, so Jika is a biracial brown man now. He's 45. But when he was a kid, he experienced so much racial harassment and was extremely painful, of course. And so part of raising a child of color for me meant, you know, friendships and relationships with people who could help me and help Jika. And so his godmother, Adelia Parker, a black woman from St. Louis, and my friend Nettie Jones, who is a brilliant novelist, also a biracial person, they really helped me support Jika and understand and actually work on social justice events. So they are kind of like protecting Jika on the outside of this. And then on the inside, it's Jika's process of protecting himself and being strong. And these are actually infrared photographs that I hand colored with oil paint and colored pencil. So many people remember the Transformer toys. I think they're still popular, but Chico is totally into Transformers. So here he is watching them on television while playing with, I don't know if that's Optimus Prime or Omega Supreme, one of his toys, which he kind of, I mean, these are all unposed pictures really, where he's taking on that transformative power, which I think is very emblematic. And then he actually made himself a Transformer outfit with a weapon, shield, all kinds of helmet and everything. And then here he is sleeping peacefully, which I think a lot of parents know how beautiful it is to see your child sleeping peacefully. The house installation is called What Hangs in the Balance, and all of these little patchwork houses made from salvaged scraps of material and photographs on fabric, they are all counterbalanced by buckets of coal scuttles, and by a gas can representing petroleum extraction, and by a fireplace grate that contains burned books. So if you were to move those objects, the houses would fall down. And it has to do with displacement, climate refugees, people who have to flee their homes because of flooding or violence or fire, and start all over again with whatever they can gather. And so it's about our vulnerability, our dependence on each other, because they're all hanging from sticks that are counterbalanced by each other and by these elements that represent fossil fuel. So the houses are something I started making when I could not get a satisfactory photograph of a squatter settlement. Even though I photographed them in El Salvador, in Nicaragua, in Africa, Colombia, where there's been massive displacement, you cannot capture that in an image, in a photograph. I couldn't anyway, because they're too huge and sprawling and complicated. But one thing that inspired me is that even when people are displaced by very tough political, war, or economic conditions, they are creative in putting together a new home and even decorating it. So I kind of went crazy decorating these. I had a lot of fun with them. They're very playful, even though for me they come from a place of deep concern and grief. So I'm trying to take things that are serious, distressing, and should concern us, but be creative about it, create some beauty that will draw people in. For example, the way I hand-colored all my photographs from the Colombia war zone, so that you would want to look at them, even though the things being described in the captions are not all happy. And so sharing other people's stories is a responsibility, I feel, and doing human rights education, respecting the dignity and the rights of everyone. Yeah, that's been a big focus in my art for all these years.